The Eurocar V6 Championship has delivered some superb performances during the course of the year for Peter Faulding in the number 36 car, and he lies third in the championship standings. Second in the contest at the moment is Rick Lemon, who'll be chasing very hard upon this man, the current championship leader, Steve Dance. Now, we caught up with Rick in the paddock before the race to find out exactly what his strategy would be. How on earth was he going to get Dancey to stay right behind him?
I don't know, every move I try and make, you know, I think I'm flying, all of a sudden there's this number 16 in front of me. This race, well, you know, I'm starting right at the front and he's a long way back now.
We saw the Pete Faulding have some engine problems, we understand. Does that help you?
Well, you know, no one wishes to gain advantage like that, but I've certainly had some disadvantage like that, so yeah, it has helped me.
Broke a cam in the first race, didn't finish, and that'll cost me dearly. We've changed the engine and hopefully we can try and get some points back in this one, but I think it's going to be a tall order now, but we'll still keep trying.
Rick Lemon moves ahead of you now as we stand currently in the second place in the championship, but what have you two guys got to do to catch Dancey?
I think the main thing is that you've got to let each other carry on and try and get through traffic instead of squabbling with each other, and while you're messing with each other, Steve's getting away.
Is there still a possibility of winning the championship? Still a few rounds to go?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it logically, the amount of races that you've had to set your bike is only one, so they only need one setback and you're back on target again. But it's still going to be a tall order. I mean, they only really realistically needs to finish mid-pack in all his remaining races, and they should be home and dry, even with you winning every race. So it's still a tall order.
Well, I wouldn't say it's easy. I mean, as you see what happened with Peter, anything can happen at any time, and you know, things like that breaking are way beyond anybody's control. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that, actually.
Where will you start from on the grid for this second race?
On the third row. So Rick's on the front. So I just slowly poodle around and see what I can get.
I don't think you've ever slowly poodled round here, have you?
No, I think you're probably right.
You're starting on the front row, you've got Andy Pike in up there alongside you. What's going to be the strategy into the first corner?
Well, Pike is an absolute nutter, isn't he? You know, what can you say about the bloke? 1 minute he's like Jenson Button, next minute he's like Mr. Magoo. I mean, but he's a cracking guy. He drives to his limits. Whatever he does with, you know, good sportsmanship, and sometimes things go wrong, but he's flying now, there's no doubt about it. He's pulled a quick time here today and things have got to be said, he's moving.
Well, I think we're going to be Mr. Magoo, actually, because we've had a real run of real bad luck. But things might change. Rick might be in the mirrors.
Well, let's hope that Mr. Magoo has polished up those spectacles. Andy Pike starts on pole, Rick Lemon alongside him. Here they go. The pace car's pulled off. We await the lights to go from red to green, and there they are, they go green, and away we go. It's a cracking start around the whole of the field. Mike Doble gets two wheels on the grass in the middle of the pack, but here we are on board with Steve Dance, the championship leader. Made a good solid start. Pete Faulding has repaired the car. We saw a couple of weeks ago in race one here, he had problems when they broke a camshaft. We heard about that earlier on, and here is Lester Stacey down the inside. Oh dear, it looks a bit tight and twitchy down there. On the outside of us on the left is Steve Thompson. Ahead of us is Jason Honey, 39. On the outside there in 17, John Stant, another who instructs here. Oh, and Dave Mason got it all out of shape there. I think he might be a victim of being one of the new kids on the block, and he's getting a bit of rough handling from some of his fellow drivers. But Lester Stacey is passed on the inside by Steve Dance, so Dancey picks up one place. Meanwhile, Rick Lemon, of course, he's trying to foist his way and fight his way past Andy Pike. So Pike has put Rick Lemon in his mirrors. Well, he said he might do that. Obviously, the Jenson Button routine he's pulling today. Well, a good recovery from Dave Mason, who's got the 5 car back in sorts, but here they come. Pike leads, Lemon second, third is Hun. In fourth place, it's Thompson. Then comes Steve Dance, the championship leader, and right behind him in the number 3 car is Lester Stacey. All of that group making their way away. Oh, Dave Mason's back onto the greenery again. Well, we see so often it takes a little bit of time for drivers to get themselves acquainted with the V6s, but Rick Lemon's been at it a long while, and he's side by side with Andy Pike, going for the lead. Down through the avenue they'll go, into Cascades, where they'll hammer down the hill, hard on the brakes. You think the car's going to get away from you there, and Rick Lemon has got through, and just at that point the weight of the car kicks on in and helps you to get the brakes on and turn through the tight sequence of right-hand corners that bring you into Knickerbrook. Streaming through they go, side by side. Further back, there is Pete Faulding in the black car. Oh, in fact, Tony Proctor stayed ahead of him, so a good manoeuvre there from Tony Proctor. But Pete Faulding is being harassed now by Christian Dick, but up through the greenery they come. Lemon leads from Pike. You see Andy Pike's lost a little bit of his front left corner there, so obviously in the wall somewhere. Oh, and Lester Stacey very sideways coming out of Druids. But Rick Lemon is where he wants to be. What he'll be more concerned about is where the man we're riding on board with, who's also picked up a passenger. A bit of an insect on the camera lens there. Our apologies if you're an animal lover. But, you know, the thing just got in the way. What can we say? Across the line they go then to reel off another lap. John Stant's in good shape there as well. He's just hooked on the back end of this leading group. And Steve Thompson right behind Jason Hunn. So Hunn's picked up a point there, I think. Dropping down the hill towards us again they come. Rick Lemon, the whole of the field streaming through down that hill. Rick Lemon ahead. There is Jason Hunn back in third. Steve Thompson's putting on a blinding race here. He was in a Legends car last year and he's moved into the V6s this year. Oh, steady on, Lester. Blimey. Well, he's ever the showman, is Lester Stacey. He must have given John Stant a bit of a smile on his face. And further back, the winner of the first race here at Oulton Park and race instructor Paul Sheard, along with Christian Dick and Cliff Butler, all local men, all based in the northwest, having a terrific scrap back there as they go up Clay Hill. But Rick Lemon leads, a 3-car advantage he's got over Andy Pike. He'll drop down through Deer Leap, riding up out of the other side. You can see they disappear from view, and that's the view that Lester Stacey has. Down they go and rising up again. Whoa, Lester's got a handful there, and the front wheel of the car's off. Lester Stacey, I can see from my vantage point, the front left corner of the car has collapsed, and Lester's retires off. Oh, that's bitter disappointment for Lester Stacey. Well, that's the end of his quest here today at Oulton Park, but meantime, the championship leader trying to pick up another place. He's trying to steal away that fourth position, and Tony Proctor off in the gravel trap to the right-hand side. There he is, you can just see him languishing in the gravel just behind the shot there, and Steve Dance has got through. He's now fourth and has demoted Steve Thompson back into fifth place. Now, Tomo, if he's got any sense, will just hang on the back of that leading quartet, and that will take him on through. Steve Thompson's already had a race win this year. That was at Lyddon earlier in the year. Meanwhile, here's the charge. Pete Faulding trying to get to the inside of John Stant. Stant, though, is mounting his defences like Hadrian's Wall there, trying to keep the rest of the pack behind him. Pete Faulding, though. Oh, and Stant breaks. And he got it all out of shape. John Stant there under braking, made a right pig's ear of that one, and Pete Faulding slides on through. But here's a great strap developing now for third place. On the inside, in the white and red car, Steve Dance, the championship leader. On the outside of him is Jason Hunn. And listen for those tyres. They're all running on slick tyres. They're a very hard compound, which is why the cars are so tail happy. And when you put 230 brake horsepower through that rear axle, it wants to break away. Well, at the moment, Dance and Hunn are side by side. We saw a terrific scrap from them earlier in the year. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that was at Brands Hatch, where they were lap after lap side by side. In fact, it wasn't. It was Mallory Park before you reach for the email address and start to write in. Mallory Park is where it was. You're quite correct. And Jason Hunn and Steve Dance once again running side by side. Further back in the back, Paddy Daw nearly spinning Cliff Butler out. Well, that's not what you call cricket, is it? And oh dear, and Paddy Daw gets it all out of shape as well. Great fun all the way through the pack. Andy Pike's having another go on the inside. Is he going to retake the lead? I think he is. Andy Pike retaking the lead there from Rick Lemon, I think. Or has he? Yes, he has. Brilliant stuff from Andy Pike. Still side by side for third place, though. Look at him. Hammer and tongs at it, nip and tuck. And that means that Steve Thompson has also been able to reel himself back onto that fight. He's now back in fifth place behind a side by side Jason Hunn and Steve Dance. I'll tell you what, Rick Lemon, when he looks in his mirror and realises that Steve Dance has come right the way through the pack, and that's exactly what Lemon's done. He's responded. Rick Lemon got the hammer down. He's retaken the lead as they came down the avenue, and here is Steve Dance. Is he going to hang on to third this time? No, Jason Hunn still hangs on the outside. What a gritty, determined drive this is from Jason Hunn, and give respect also to Steve Dance, who's giving him the space and the room. Watch the line that Dancey takes up Clay Hill. He's given plenty of room there to Jason Hunn. Otherwise, it'll all end in tears and all be off in the barriers. Well, we don't want any of that. There's Andy Pike in second spot. Oh, Jason Hunn and Steve Dance contact each other. A clip of wheels, and that's all it took. Well, Jason Hunn has been fired back there to something like 7th or 8th position. Oh, that's bitter disappointment. I'm sure that wasn't intended by Steve Dance. the two of them just getting into each other, and that's caused a problem. So now the race order is Lemon leads, Pike is second, Dance is third, in fourth place it's Thompson, then comes Falding, and then Peter Barnes is back in sixth position and reeling himself in to Pete Falding, who is back in that fifth spot. There they go, that's the leading 6 cars dropping down the avenue. A bit of a gap then back to, is that Paul Sheard crept up? It is, to 7th place. Dancy then back in third, Steve Thompson swarming around him. There's Pete Falding. Oh, there is Falding off, and Pete Barnes takes the opportunity to dive on through and says, oh, thank you very much, Peter. That'll do me. That'll add me a few more points to my championship tally. And we're right on board here on the roof of Steve Dance's car, reeling in Andy Pike. Andy will try and assemble his defences and try and keep Steve Dance behind him, and certainly that is what Rick Lemon will be hoping for, because at the moment Lemon has a 45-point advantage if they finish where they are, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Steve Dance goes to the inside, and Andy Pike slams the door firmly shut. He's perfectly entitled to do that. No reason at all why he shouldn't. Great stuff this from the Eurocar V6s here at Oulton Park. It's the 8th round. There are 2 races, remember, at every round, and this is the second one of them. Rick Lemon leads from Andy Pike. Steve Dance third, and trying to get through into that third place is Steve Thompson. Now, just to finish that thought I was having about half a lap ago, that man there in 25, Rick Lemon, will be desperately keen to make sure that Andy Pike does all he can to keep Steve Dance back in third place. Oh, he hasn't done it! Dancy's gone through unseen by us as they drop down the hill at the avenue, so Dancy now, as we get into the closing stages, the final lap of this quite compelling Eurocar V6 race, up the hill they go. Now I'm just checking my lap chart, actually, whether we are on the final lap. Let's just worry about that in a moment. Here is Rick Lemon under pressure now. He's got to just keep facing forward, keep the focus of attention right down the track and move across the right-hand side. He's able to do that, but he can't now make another manoeuvre. You can make one move between the 2 corners. Into the final stages, Steve Dance is going to run wide and try and take the line. Down the elite they go. Checkered flag is ready, is it? Here they come. And Steve Dance tries to go side by side with him. They're going to just make it to line. Lemon holds on. Brilliant finish. Oh, superb climax to a stunning race there. Rick Lemon takes the victory ahead of Steve Dance. Steve Thompson gets it on the line into third place ahead of Andy Pike. And Pete Barnes takes 5th ahead of 6th place Peter Falding.
You go in the pits, you'll see a wheel bearing completely destroyed on the car. So when Pikey caught me again, I thought, let him go. No point, risking anything, because he's not a challenger as far as the points go to my position. So then I saw Steve Dance get past Steve Thompson, and I thought, no way, if it goes now, it goes. And I just got the hammer down again and got away a bit. But Steve could see there was something wrong with the car. It was wobbling around all over the place. But brilliant race, loved it.
He just said to me he had a small vibration, but he's full of excuses anyway, isn't he? So. But no, the best part of it was racing with Jason, actually. We'd done, I think, 2 complete laps side by side. And in the end, we just touched wheels somewhere and it threw Jason off. But he managed to keep going anyway, that's the main thing.
The way Steve's run away with the championship, I thought I'll stick behind him, and if a little gap opens up, I can slide through with him. And that's exactly what we did over the back, with Jason unfortunately going off. Then I couldn't believe it, last lap, coming next to Andy Pike.